order. It is 6:32. Welcome, everybody. Let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Move on to verification of notice.
The meeting was properly noticed.
Okay, thank you. We'll move on to public comment. If anybody from the public would like to make any comments, now is the time to do so. We won't have comments from the public later, so please feel free to step up if you have something you want to contribute.
Hello, Tim Scott, Town of Oakland. I would love to talk to you in an informed manner about agenda items 14 and 15, but I'm unable to because there has been no forthright public discussion of this. I went back through meeting agendas for this year, and the only meeting where it was on an agenda was the closed session. I've seen no publication of what the contracts you may or may not be considering, the length of them, the cost of them, etc. And I'm assuming it'll come up tonight in discussion where nobody from the public will be allowed to provide input. I think that's a huge, huge problem. A lot of you are here now, and when you were running or seeking the positions that you have, you talked about openness in government, how we're going to stop this thing. And I feel like I'm looking at the Fire Commission all over again. And I find it disgusting, and it's very disappointing. That'll pass. Thanks.
Thank you. Anyone else like to come up and speak? Okay, hearing none, we will move on then to approval of minutes from July 15th and July 29th. First, we'll start with the July 15 meeting minutes. You have them in your packet. I just wanted to make one correction for discussion of possible action on Lake Ripley public boat launch modifications. So we have in here that it says they are working on a contract for consideration to present to the town of Oakland. So they did present us that already. That was really the proposal that they had for us. But the rest is correct, so I thought I would just change that part of it since they had submitted that and we had.
What exactly do we want to change, Laura?
I'd like to say that they presented us with a proposal, and it included the information.
Oh, you just want to add the language?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That they submitted a proposal to us?
Right, that they really weren't working on a contract for consideration. They already provided that to us, and that's what we had in our packet last month. Okay. Did anyone see anything that they felt needed to be revised?
I'll make a motion to approve the July 15th minutes with the added submission of a proposal. Is there anything else?
Okay. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, all in favor of the minutes from July 15th with the correction, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay. We will move on to the minutes for July 29th. I'll entertain a motion for approval, or if there's any changes that someone wants to make, please say.
I'll move to approve the minutes from the July 29th, 2025 meeting.
I'll second.
Okay. All in favor of approval of the meeting minutes from July 29th, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, minutes are approved. We will move on to the police chief's report. Our police chief wasn't here, but I can't see who's coming up.
Good evening.
Good evening. Thanks for coming.
No problem. So we've been very busy on boat patrol. It's been consistently staffed for most of the summer now. Boat traffic is definitely a lot less, we've noticed out there. Consistent, but definitely less boat traffic throughout the day compared to prior years, but we are still dealing with violations as we observe them. And currently we have 128, almost 129 boat patrol hours for the season in. So we've made up for lost ground from the beginning of the season. Department has purchased a tint meter, which officers are going to be getting certified to use, which will be another aid in traffic enforcement for town roads and the highways. So that should be getting into use here as officers are trained on it. And then we have received a few more golf cart complaints operating on roadways. So we're going to kind of focus a little more on that. The long and short of it is golf carts are not registerable and usually don't have the proper safety equipment. So that's something that we've been getting some complaints on about them operating in unsafe manners. So that's a focus that I think is going to be addressed as time goes on with Chief Leonard.
Is that mostly on Ripley Road or on Park Road too?
It pretty much is around the lake, is where we keep getting the most complaints. So nothing really past the lake that we've heard of, but they're not really operating them out in the country either. So,
Right.
And we continue to address traffic concerns on Highway 12, 18, Park Road, and Ripley Road as we receive the complaints, and we'll continue those efforts. Any questions at all?
We are getting, and you may have heard, but we're getting a lot of reports of wake boats out on the lake,
Yes.
creating the wake that we all know that can't be done any longer because
Yep.
of our new ordinance. I have informed residents to obviously try to take photos if they can, because most of the time that I've heard that they're there, you guys weren't on patrol. Obviously, it was after your hours. So
Yeah.
we have had several complaints about that come into our office at the Lake District. So
Is it a
making sure
red
that-
boat that you've been hearing about? Because we received
A red boat?
A red
Yeah,
boat
I'm not
is
sure
what we had heard,
what
and
the
they
car-
operate in the evenings right before
Yeah, it's
Slow No
probably
Wake
one.
hits.
So we've had a couple complaints of a couple different boats. So just so you guys are aware of that.
Okay.
Make sure we pass that on.
Yeah, we'll definitely pass that on to Lake Patrol.
Also, I find it interesting that we're focusing on electric golf carts that are nice and quiet, usually don't go very fast. I've noticed a whole ton of the UTVs going by my house, very, very loud, of course, and very fast. So
Yeah.
maybe we can take a look at that too.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, those are obviously enforceable as well.
I mean,
so-
golf carts are kind of harmless, so I understand they're probably not DOT legal, but
Sure, yep.
if there's a priority, I guess we probably want to look at the ones that are for sure speeding and making a lot of noise. So that's just my opinion.
Yeah.
What are your typical hours on the weekends?
For Lake Patrol,
Yes.
we usually get out between 6 and 7 to really capitalize on the Slow No Wake, which we've heard from talking to fishermen is an issue when it gets abused. Generally, we'll stay out till 3 or 4, depending on weather and activity on the lake. So that's generally our hours we've been doing this season.
Because we got a couple of complaints, and it seemed that they were on the weekends, but like after 4 o'clock, 4, 5 o'clock in the afternoon. So I wasn't sure if you were already off the lake at that time.
Yeah, usually around 4 we've been getting off the lake,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
You would think things would start winding down by 4 o'clock, but maybe not.
Seems like that's when the wake boats have been out there, the complaints
Yeah.
we got so far. It was like
Really?
after the time when they might know when you guys are leaving
That's
or what,
right.
I don't know.
That's very true.
That could be,
Yeah, once they see that you guys are getting off. But we'll keep you posted. I did forwarded on some complaints to Chief Leonard for you.
Yeah, and if we can establish a pattern of like when they're going out, which it sounds like we're starting to get that in terms of the evening, then we could do a more targeted approach for that kind of stuff. We first heard about the wake boat about 2.5 weeks ago from a resident that was out on the lake. So, yeah, just keep letting us know if you can get a description of the boat. So if we see something like that launching, we can take notice to it and kind of hang out in the lake more longer. If we notice that they're getting ready to launch a boat that actually matches that description. Because it sounds like it's somebody from outside that doesn't live on the lake that keeps launching from the public launch is what I'm being told. So I don't think it's a resident. I think it's somebody from the outside, which would make sense.
Okay, well,
Thanks.
And the 30th is when the rescheduled fireworks are going to be
Yep.
on the lake, so maybe plan on being out a little later that day.
Oh, we'll be out 6 a.m. until after the fireworks are done. That's our longest day of the season. So
Okay, all right.
great, thank you. Any other questions?
On those electric scooters and the golf carts, I would assume they're under the same regulations as like the UTVs, where the people of a certain age have to have helmets on?
actually, it's pretty limited what the regulation is. The ATVs and UTVs definitely have a lot more
Regulations.
guidance and
Yeah, okay.
regulations, which
Then we're
I
seeing-
wish they would do that.
We're
in the
seeing
state
on
of
12 there,
Wisconsin.
we're seeing a lot of the powered scooters that look like a kid's scooter,
For sure.
and
yep.
the electric bikes that keep right up with the traffic. Actually heard a report that there was one on the Kennedy Expressway last week that
Wow.
crashed at 1 a.m. in the morning.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, and the electric scooters and the electric bikes are kind of a new animal as far
Yeah.
as state statutes are concerned.
would think.
Statutes haven't caught up to that because it's such a new technology,
Mhm.
and they are super fast, and they should be considered a vehicle, in my opinion, just by how fast they are.
And
and
like
how
Jimmy
much
said, they're
trouble-
quiet, so it'll be said by fast, you don't hear them coming.
No, so, yeah, that one's a little tougher just because state statutes are still kind of trying to grasp how to enforce those.
Trying to get educated here.
Regardless what's on the road, if it's the UTV or the golf, I mean, they also have to follow the speed limit, 35
Correct.
miles an hour.
Yep.
Right?
And obviously on Ripley, it's 25.
25 on Ripley,
So-
right?
And
So
Park is 30.
Park is 30, yeah, said
Mhm.
35, okay, 30, so yeah, all right.
And yeah, we can easily enforce the UTV problems because there's plenty of statutes out there to do easier enforcement on. So we'll definitely pass that on to the road officers as well.
There are definitely kids that may not have their driver's license too. So
Yeah.
that's something that needs to be done as well, being 16 and having a valid driver's license for the UTVs, ATVs on
Yep.
the road, right?
And that's something that's very strictly enforced with us as well as the county, I know. So that's a zero tolerance for obvious reasons.
Okay, great.
So if we get any complaints on those, just keep passing them along to us so we can kind of target the problem areas and put an end to it before it gets to be a problem bigger than what we have. So
Okay, great. Thank you. Anything else? Thank you.
you.
Thanks,
Thank
Joy.
you for all your
You're
work. Okay, we will move on to Fire Chief's report. We have Chief Russ here. Chief Peterson is not going to be here. He's out of the country at the time.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Oh,
You should have gotten the reports. I'm not going to spend too much time going through each and every item that's on there, but if there's any questions, I can answer them. I'll hit some topic ones. Current staff model remains at 38, 2 full-time staff with city employing 2 on the city streets and parks department. We've seen a departmental response increase from 11% from July in 2024, which was 27 calls, up to 30 calls for this year. And we've seen a 54% increase over the last first 7 months of 24 and 25, which obviously is rightly so with town of Oakland coming on board, the town of Lake Mills EMS coming back. So those are kind of expected numbers along with city growth. So nothing too shocking at that point, but it's just something that we monitor. During the month of July, we had a total of 30 responses. Total number of responders was 222, so that's adding up all responses, which gives us a 7.4% responder average. This month I included a chart, which is down below there, which gives an example of NFPA 1720, which is a guideline that paid on call combination departments are in a sense subjected to as a standard, and it gives a breakdown of how many responders per the area type that you're supposed to have. So it's kind of the fuel gauges to what I look at and say, do I need to add more responders to get more response? Do I need to increase our requirement of response? What do I need to do? Are we getting in trouble? Are we staying safe? Are we in a good spot? So that's just a little informational part for you there. And then our budgeting on my end is pretty much completed at city. Now it's a matter of Drake and the financial director sitting down and meeting and kind of going through it and then presenting it to the board. So the only other thing that I have for the townships is that our quarterly meeting is coming due again. September ends this quarter already. So the numbers that I've been throwing out there, or dates I've been throwing out there, is September 23rd as a potential, September 24th, or September 30th. So at some point, if you folks just want to kind of come up with which date seems to work the best for your group, or two dates that would work for your group, we'll get it on the books and get another quarterly meeting done. Any questions that you have for me?
Yeah, we'll get back to you on the dates. Those quarterly meetings are pretty informative.
They do come quick. One of the things I talked about at, I think it was Milford, we talked about, do we go to just maybe 2 times a year? You know, do a spring and then a fall type meeting, kind of in between the planting seasons and stuff that keeps everybody busy, but.
Yeah, thanks for everything you do.
Yeah, we'll think about that. Thank you. Okay, we'll move on to discussion and possible action to hire Jordan Rittmeyer and Roger Muniz Dumas as police officers. You have on your desk some information that Chief Leonard just provided to us last night. I will read some of it to you, but you have it there in front of you. So for Jordan Rittmeyer, I'll read what our Chief Leonard has said. I've known Jordan and his family for about a year and a half. Jordan has come a long way in policing, and I've heard good things about him from fellow officers. Jordan is willing to be flexible. He would like to work on patrol as well as the boat. He will be able to work different hours as his full-time schedule permits, to include weekdays, weeknights, and weekends. I interviewed, and I was impressed with his personality and character. And we look forward to swearing Jordan in August 20th at 9 a.m. and getting him up to speed with our procedures. And then regarding Roger Muniz, Officer Muniz lives in Jefferson and works full-time for the Fort Atkinson Police Department. Roger has worked for Fort Police Department for a year and a half. He is a member of the Mobile Force, which is a countywide team. This team specializes in crowd control and the issues arising from large-scale protests. Roger's fluent in Spanish was a great asset for the town of Oakland. Roger has participated in many different types of training to become a well-rounded officer. I personally trained Roger in the filed training process, and he has demonstrated good character and integrity. Roger continues to display compassion and empathy to those in the community he serves. We're excited to welcome him aboard to the town police department. So we do have a need for additional officers. That's why Chief Leonard has wanted us to consider hiring these 2 people, particularly when they're able to work other hours, such as the weekends and the evenings. So we do have a hard time getting people to work some of these hours. It's been a little bit slow. So I think it would be a good idea to hire new people and make sure we get people out there for patrol as well as other matters. So any questions or concerns? We do have money in the budget. We are a little low this year just because we have had a hard time getting, shifts filled.
I'll make a motion to hire Jordan and Roger.
Okay.
Second.
Any further comments?
That was Tom.
What's that?
Tom
Tom.
second.
Tom second. Okay, all in favor of the motion to hire Jordan Rittmeyer and Roger Muniz, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, motion carries. And then moving on to number 8, it's related, discussion and possible action on Thomas Klemke promotion to lieutenant. So Tom is one of our current officers. He does work very regular hours, a couple days during the week. He has a very good track record. He has helped with doing some additional work for Chief Leonard when she is not here.
Here, this is the one.
This is the one. Sorry, I could not find my paper. So Chief Leonard also sent us something that's on your desk regarding Officer Klemke. He has shown dedication to the town through his active approach to traffic enforcement. Officer Klemke has been active in addressing issues between residents as they arise and addresses those issues in a professional manner. Officer Klemke is well-versed in criminal and traffic law, which is instrumental in creating a well-rounded police department. He has always notified me of any issues as they arise within the police department and keeps me appraised of any situation. He thinks I need to address whether it involves equipment or problems within the town. Officer Klemke is a certified field training officer and has trained many officers through his career, including myself. I'm requesting this promotion not only because of his dedication, but also because he is a trusted member of law enforcement. I will be adding additional responsibilities to this promotion. I relied on Officer Klemke to be the officer in charge when I am not available to vacationing or training. As an officer in charge, he is responsible for any situation which may arise within the town which would require a supervisor approval. Officer Klemke has always willingly taken on his responsibility. Officer Klemke will be assisting me with writing policy and procedure and revamping those policies and procedures which are outdated and need restructuring. He will also be responsible for assisting and training the new hires to help them become acclimated to the town policies and procedures. He will also help with some of the administrative tasks, including preparing quotes for equipment. This needed level of supervision will ensure that this is proper oversight of all the police officers in the town of Oakland. Due to the added responsibilities, I believe promotion to police lieutenant is appropriate. So when we had interviewed for the police chief, we had interviewed Officer Klemke, and he did a really great job. And he really has been an asset. And part of this promotion would be an hourly rate, wage increase. And it would be twofold. He would be doing more work that is needed. It's a position that we did have for many years, but just had been eliminated over time. And so I suggest we promote him and also consider raise increase to $35 or $34 an hour. Right now, we pay our officers $30 during the week per hour and $31 per hour on the weekends.
Again, this is pretty much a vacant position, right? Because when we went
Yes.
through this, we agreed to step the person up, and then when they elevated to,
Right.
then that's elevated, then this would be left open until we were able to fill it.
Right,
So this
and
is,
it had been left open for a long time, previous to Chief Leonard, when Jerry Hoffmeyer became the chief. That position was phased out. Someone had left during that transition. So it's something that has been left empty, and I think he is a really good candidate to step up. Does
I'll make a
anyone have
motion.
thoughts about the raise increase? We do have in our budget to be able to do this year.
What do you want the dollar amount to be for wages?
Chief Leonard has suggested $34 and $35, 34 during the week and 35 on the weekends. And it would be good retention to be more competitive with the rest of the area.
I'll make a motion to appoint Thomas Klemke to lieutenant for $34 on the weekdays and $35 on the weekends.
Okay, any further discourse or second on that?
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second from Joy. Any further discussion? Okay, hearing none, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye?
Aye. Opposed? Okay, great. Okay, we will move on then to discussion and possible action on request by Trevor and Rachel Merson to rezone from A1 to A3 to create a 2-acre residential lot at W8806 Advent Road, parcel 022-0613-332000.
Good evening,
Hi.
guys. Nate Mueller and Sons Construction, agent and liaison for Rochelle through this process. So any questions you guys got?
So we met this month for the planning committee and approved this unanimously. It is just to create, you have it in your packet, it is to create a 2-acre parcel from their entire parcel. It's very common to do this, and it is allowed by the county regulations to split off 2 acres to build a home. And so that's what they have been planning to do for family to continue living.
So basically, it's for Rochelle to build a house with her boyfriend, soon-to-be husband, fiance, and just to keep mom at home at the family homestead because they've been there for a long time. So, keep her at home as long as possible and be next door and be able to take care of her and things like that as she progresses in age.
Right. And I did talk to Matt Zengel from the planning department. They haven't had any splits yet, so
Nope.
there's only so many splits they can do, and they haven't done any yet, so this
Yep, so
is,
this will be the one and only that they get on the property.
right. Depends on what you're asking for. You could have 1 or 2, depending.
Yes, yep.
And so this would be their split.
I'll make a motion, we approve the request by Treva and Rochelle Merson to rezone from A1 to A3 to create a 2.0 acre residential lot at W8806 Advent Road, parcel 022-0613-3332-000.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion by Tom and a second by Jimmy. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye?
Aye. Okay,
Thank you
all set. So we will send this over to the county, and then you will get a call from them.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for coming.
Okay, review of Town of Oakland financial report. You received this last month to review for this month's meeting. You should have that with you. So our clerk
I
has...
didn't remember we got this last month, did we?
Yeah.
It was part of the board packet.
We discussed it last month at the end that we would be doing it this month.
Mainly, this is for your information so that you have an idea of the town financial position. You will need this information as you make some decisions when we get to budget time. There are a few things that I wanted to point out to you, and it is on page number 5 that our total expenses so far, and this was through the end of June, so we have spent some money since then, but we have spent $935,000 as of the 30th of June, which is 39% of our budget, a little over 39% of our budget. Since then, the Park Road grant has been settled. We received $460,000 from the Department of Transportation, which we used to pay off part of that line of credit that we were using. The balance of the Park Road grant is $317,849, and that will be paid over a 10-year period at an interest rate of 6%. There is a handout about the town debt and then what we have in reserves. But it's mainly for your information as we go forward in the budgeting process.
Yeah, thanks for putting that together. It's helpful to see it all on one sheet.
If there's no, you can always ask me questions if you would like to, but there's no action that needs to be taken.
This is just informative.
Yeah.
So the first 2 pages are the income, the revenue, and then the last 3 are the expenses. And they're broken down by different categories. Any questions right now? Okay, so if you review this some more and you have any questions, feel free to reach out to Susan about it. Thank you for putting it together.
Yep.
Okay. We will move on then to discussion possible action on estimate for a furnace for the town hall room.
That proposal is in your packet. The Jensen Plumbing and Heating have given us an estimate for replacing all 3 furnaces in this building, and we are only going to replace one at this time, and that would be the first one for $7,270. We did put that in the budget for replacement. But before we go ahead and spend that money, I'd like board approval.
We plan on doing like, are you thinking 1 a year then, or how are you thinking we're gonna do that?
That's what I'm thinking, yeah.
And at this
We
time,
have 3 furnaces here?
Yes, 2 for this room right here, and then 1
Really?
for, yeah.
Was this the only estimate from contractors, or do we have?
This was the only estimate, yes. Would you like additional proposals?
I
think
might
2
a
would
good
be
idea.
yeah,
At least,
that would be
appropriate.
nice.
Okay.
is there another local person we can call?
Buyer.
Al
Rockdale.
Buyer.
What?
Al Buyer,
He's in town.
Byers,
In town?
something like that.
Something like that, that's in
Or,
town.
Taylor.
Jack Taylor,
I
too.
thought is Jack retired?
He's retired, but
He's not retired?
his grandson is.
Oh, okay.
Might not hurt to get another, too.
I will get another proposal and bring it back in September.
Okay.
We still get it installed by winter?
I hope so.
Okay.
What is the other one, Zach Taylor?
Taylor Heating
Jack.
and Air
Jack.
Conditioning, I believe it's called.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Expect, though, to spend some money for that this year. Otherwise, we'll bring our coats. Okay. Okay, so we'll move on then to discussion possible action for operator's license for Abby Stinner and Laura Viney.
Jeremy Porter from Lake Ripley Lanes has requested to get 2 additional operators' licenses. Those, they have passed background check.
I'll
They
make
already
a
paid their
motion that we approve the operator's license for Abby Stinner and Laura Viney.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion by Tom and second by Jimmy. Any further discussion? Okay, hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, motion carries. Okay, we will move on then to discussion possible action on resolution 2025-02, parking restrictions on town roads, Sleepy Hollow Road. So I had brought this forward for discussion last month because we had 2 months of complaints for parking problems in this area. Officer Whiting, he was here, he spoke about that last month as well, and we decided to wait to see if there was any discussion from the residents in the area there. I have not heard of any issues, but we had talked about bringing it back this month.
Did we get any input from Officer Whiting? No? I know he was here earlier.
He was just here.
Hey. Oh,
Jimmy, would you see if he,
What do you want me to see if he's here?
yeah.
is that for the Airbnb that's over there?
There is an Airbnb according to Officer Whiting. I can't say if that's the only issue with parking, but there had been,
He's on a Zoom call right now.
okay, so there had been a number of complaints during our meetings. So I thought it would be at least a good time to discuss it. So yeah, that's why we're discussing it today.
If they would post signage, it would be for the entire road.
It should be. There's a lot of cars always at the Airbnb, and they don't care where they park. They'll park on your property, on other people's property.
Officer Joey, could you speak to us about parking and if there's issues with any parking that you see in that area? Do you go down to that area in Sleepy Hollow?
I'll just come up here so everybody can hear me.
Thank you.
I generally work during the day, which is kind of a different animal. It sounds like this happens on the weekends from my understanding. When I'm down there, it's usually lawn mowing companies is kind of the extent of what I see with like trailers and stuff, but they're obviously there for a short time and then they're gone. So I personally can't really speak on it. I've heard complaints from residents when I've gone down there, but I haven't seen it personally.
There was some indication that the roads are very tight. I had driven down there with our road supervisor, Jeff Scheel, and they are narrower in some areas, but many of our roads are.
Yeah, and probably last year there was which is kind of old at this point, but there was definitely an issue with the parking where I had concerns that a fire truck or an ambulance would not make it through there.
If there were, in general, or if there were cars parked?
If the way that the cars were parked that day when I had that complaint last year, it was a problem. And to my understanding, it's third-hand information for me, but it sounds like that's kind of a repeated issue on the weekends. So with how narrow it is, I could see it being a public safety issue, especially for a large fire truck, which the chief could probably confirm with me that some of these roads, trying to get an ambulance or a fire truck down, or God forbid there's actually a fire where they have to bring multiple apparatus in, it could be an issue I could see.
Okay. Well, does anyone have some?
Did Jeff speak to this a little bit too, or no, when he was
Jeff?
here?
We had just been out there driving around. There's an area that's narrow at one end, and the other area widens out a little bit, but it would need to be really the whole road.
Yeah, especially with that hill that's right there by Porter Drive too. That's kind of a scary spot, and there's a lot of pedestrians out there too, so if you have the cars parked there and people trying to walk through and traffic, I could see it being a problem.
Well, we have no parking signs on Ripley Road, and, we don't really, I don't ever notice cars violating the no parking signs. I mean, maybe once in a while, but,
Aside from contractors who don't have a choice, but yeah,
Right.
they're out of there after their work's complete and
oh, there's Officer Whiting. We could ask him too, he lives down there, and see. Officer Whiting, did you hear any more complaints about Sleepy Hollow and parking?
I had a conversation with some of the renters that have the Airbnb over there in Sleepy Hollow, and expressed the concern of the neighborhood and whatnot about the parking, and they said they would do their best to try to resolve that and pass that on to any renters coming in, so hopefully that is kind of resolving itself.
Okay.
Should we just table this for at least a month then?
Yeah, I mean, if anything, once the season's
Can always
over.
bring it back. I mean, if
Well,
it's-
we can always bring it back, but it's good to discuss it, especially if the officers feel that it could be a safety hazard. So I guess we can table it if everyone agrees.
If it matters, we have property on Sleepy Hollow at the top of the road he's talking about, 4168, it's a problem.
Okay.
But if we pass this, that would mean like the lawnmower companies and that they could be ticketed for parking.
Yeah,
technically they could.
right.
So,
Could also include an exception to transient vehicles that are, parked there under an hour to provide services or something to that extent, or make
I'm sorry.
deliveries.
They could,
We could put an exception in the resolution for vehicles that are making deliveries or providing a service for 2 hours or less
Oh, good point.
as well.
it does,
Here, it
But
does
it's-
already have, except
but it's not, doesn't give like for 2 hours. It's
No.
just load and unload. So we
Mhm.
maybe could add a little bit more to that paragraph then.
Right, so here it says, except temporarily for the purpose of and while actually engaged in loading or unloading or in receiving or discharging passengers or property, and while the vehicle is attended by licensed operators, so that it may be moved promptly in case of an emergency or to avoid obstruction of traffic. No person shall at any time park or leave standing any vehicle at any location. And then it lists just a couple other roads that we already have no parking on, if you wanted to take a look at that.
We can add a little bit of language then to this, just to,
Would we have to, we'd have to come back if we're going to change the ordinance itself, because we are making a resolution.
that's true, we are just designating a street to follow this exact ordinance as is, so we would be
Right.
kind of opening up
The whole ordinance as a whole?
Yeah,
if that's the board wishes, we can absolutely do that.
yes, the resolution that's required per the ordinance to add any other streets, it reiterates that language.
It's up to the board.
We have like 10 ordinance ones.
Can you make a resolution specific for, that's doing exactly what you said in the resolution, right?
I have to do it, we would have to do it via the ordinance. This ordinance only allows the adoption of resolution to add further streets,
Just streets?
to,
No?
yeah, to be
Okay.
subject to this ordinance. If we want to make changes about the contractor doing landscaping, or the lawn mowing company, or somebody that's 2 hours or less, that's got to go back and be,
And
so.
to Tom's point, maybe we revise it and come up with some different language and look at it in a month or two.
Because it might be helpful for other streets in the future as well. There must be others that over time may need to do this.
Yeah, I think that it'd be a really good time now to have Highway Department do a little audit of all the streets, which that will take a little bit more time. I know Sleepy Hollow is kind of a priority, which we could do it in 2 steps if we wanted. We can always revise an existing ordinance to add more streets that we find as part of our overall review, but yeah, we can figure something out.
Well, if we get the short-term rental ordinance done there, they have there's a section in there about parking as well.
Well, we'll need to revise this, and we need to add any streets per this ordinance, no matter what, no matter who it is short-term rental or otherwise. It would-
Correct, yeah, just to reflect the existing parking regulations and rules that exist as they do today. Because I would imagine they're a little different than when that was adopted.
Right, so we would need to revise this no matter what. If we
Yes.
wanted to, no matter what we wanted to do, regardless of if it was short-term rental or other reasons.
Correct, yeah.
Okay,
And if you want, because I would imagine it's going to take a second for the highway department to actually confirm all those streets, we could just update the ordinance now with the streets that are currently listed, add Sleepy Hollow, and then come back and amend the ordinance again once the DPW department's had an opportunity to actually do a full-scale review.
That whole thing needs to be consolidated. I mean, it's hard to find what you're looking for just that one ordinance one. Like I said, there's 10.
Yep.
amendments.
It just needs to all be redone.
I know, we did, actually, that goes back, actually, when I got involved, Ted had mentioned that. I mean, that would be a little bit of a project, maybe like a separate Susan budgeted item as a project that we do in 2026 to just codify the entire town code with a nice streamlined numbering structure that it's very predictable. Because I agree, yes, there's quite a lot of hyperlinks on the Woodtown website right now.
Right, but that'll take quite a bit of time.
That will take a second, yes.
Okay. All right, so then are we in agreement to come back with revision of this section of the ordinance to add the language regarding temporary parking to allow for vehicles such as landscape and so forth?
Just so we're clear, we're thinking, Home Depot's dropping off a refrigerator, unloading that, that's kind of already allowed. Contractors coming because they're doing a whole new retaining wall on the property and some really nice landscaping, that could be allowed. Someone's building an addition and there's going to be some construction vehicles there for some time, that's okay. The idea, though, is that there would be some kind of limitation on time that we just need to evaluate. Is that fair, or is it, unless you're there for construction, everything else is just prohibited?
Well, we have to be realistic that
Like
people...
maintenance, I think if you use the word maintenance,
Okay.
construction.
Okay. I'll come up with something that makes it easy for the officers, that they know someone's there for a commercial purpose as opposed to just parking there.
Okay. All right. Does that seem good from a law enforcement standpoint?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. All right, so we'll bring this back then. Thank you. All right. Okay, we'll move on to number 14, discussion and possible action on fire EMS contract with the Fort Atkinson Fire Department. So you have a copy of that in your packet. So we have our existing contract for fire and EMS. There was actually two, one for fire and one for EMS. Now it's been consolidated into one instead of having two separate ones. And they had, one was expiring, one was not quite expiring yet. So we discussed this at our two closed session meetings, and everything that we discussed with the fire chief and at those meetings have been incorporated into the agreement. So would you like to elaborate?
Yeah, I just can kind of do a high-level overview. Yeah. So you'll recall, this is an agreement that 5 towns are intending to enter into. Oakland tonight is this first one. I assisted 3 other towns in this discussion.
Maybe you can move so people can hear.
Oh. Is that okay? Can everybody hear me? I assisted with 3 other towns in addition to Oakland. with regard to this contractual negotiation. Every indication I've gotten from their chairs and their town officials is that they will be approving this in short order as well over the next month. This agreement technically will be effective as of January 1, 2026. Once it is conditioned on everybody else signing as well, including the city of Fort Atkinson. It is a 10-year agreement, as we discussed previously. There are a few points after the town's closed session that we went back and made red line changes to the contract. It was both myself and actually Jefferson's attorney. I can highlight some of those changes for you as we go throughout, many of which were non-issues with the city because they were memorializing certain facts that we already knew them to be, just that they needed to be put into a written form. I don't think it was intentional that some were not included or needed to be clarified just from a legal lens. To just highlight some of those key changes, if you'll recall, we were able to put a cap on an annual budget when it came to fire and EMS operations in particular. That was a big item that the city will provide you a budget with regard to fire and EMS operations on an annual basis. But that is what the budget will be. They won't come back for any kind of additional handout that they were short in a particular year. They are on the hook for those shortfalls, if you will. The benefit, though, as well, is that if there is unassigned fund balance at the end of the year, meaning that the city would have overestimated, those monies will get moved and placed into the following year's budget to offset everybody's future costs. So that is very helpful. If you recall, the budget itself has got 5 different categories. There's fire operations, EMS operations, fire capital, EMS capital, and then the town-only equipment capital budget as well. EMS operations is intended to ultimately be a self-functioning fund, meaning that revenues that come in will pay for the expenses. With regard to fire capital and EMS capital, those will be structured payments that you will make consistently the same amount every single year based on what are the projected assets that need to be purchased. We were able to get a cap from the city that states for fire operations in particular that in no event will there be let me put it this way, the cap is at 7% on our worst day with regard to a change in fire operation costs from a year-to-year standpoint. However, the city is only allowed to increase it by its actual projected operation costs. So it's the lesser of the two. But your worst day, which you'll know based on what is contained in here between years 1 through 5 of this contract right now, is that the increase will not change by any more than 7%. This was a significant concession from the city because as it was previously written, it would allow them to make their own projection, and you would have just received, frankly, a notice come budget time and say, here's your amount. So I would chalk that up as a big win for all the towns. In addition, there was a change to the termination feature of the contract. Originally, it was set up that you would have to pay, you would give a notice of termination, but then you would pay a 3-year termination fee equal to what you would have paid to the city anyway. So you can imagine if you terminated on January 1 of 2027, you're going to pay double, both for your new service provider and the city for 3 straight years. That was removed, and instead it's now a 3-year termination notice. So you will give notice that the 3 years will pass. You'll continue to pay the city as you always would, but at that point in time, your obligation stops financially, and you'll have to secure a different service provider at that point in time. Another tweak to this contract since we last met had to do with the recalculation point, which will occur at the 5-year mark. The recalculation was to update call volume data, population data, equalized value data. If there is an added territory as well to the service area, that will get added in as well to offset hopefully everybody's cost to some extent. But the recalculation will level the playing field again after 5 years of updated information. At this recalculation point, the city had requested the need to update potentially its asset sheet because there may be new demands to the the fire or the EMS department. Initially, this had caused me some heartburn, and I articulated that to the city. They were willing, though, to concede that if they add any new equipment that's not already contained in the exhibits that you have here before you, that those will be amortized over, depending on the type of equipment, either 10 or 20 years from the date of recalculation. So a simple way to put this is, if the city all of a sudden says, we want to buy $1 million fire truck all of a sudden, and that wasn't planned for, that would get added. They would be allowed to do that. However, that will be amortized over 20 years. So that means that the cost per year is $50,000. That's annualized. But remember, you're only paying a proportionate share of that $50,000, so your number is actually far less than that amount. So I think that that's a very useful tool that could come into play for the town, especially as it plans for the future. Because frankly, at the recalculation point, things could always change. There may be municipalities added. There may be a municipality that dropped off. You can plan, for the future. You'll have plenty of time to do it after the recalculation point. And frankly, your worst day is 5 more years of monetary cost to the city. However, I believe that the service that they're able to provide to you all is an effective one for the price that you're paying. And I think we've put substantial parameters on that cost to help keep it, if it's going to grow at a slow level as opposed to a sudden unexpected spike where maybe your two options are increase your levy to afford that or bond against it. I don't think that that's going to be the case here. I think that this has been well thought out. The projections are contained in the agreement as well as to what your overall cost should be year to year. And that is Exhibit E, the last 2 pages of the document. The total projected cost between 2026 to 2030 would range from $158,000 to $214,000. And again, those are projections. They were intended to be done on the high side. We've put caps on those increases. So there's always, frankly, I believe there's a possibility here that these numbers could decrease year over year because they were intentionally done on the high side by the city to begin with. And I've made sure that we've got some protections in here that it would never go above those numbers. So I feel good about what I see on this document, bottom line, from a financial perspective.
So every year, they're going to recalculate their budget. So these are just projections. They are not exactly what they are intended to pay.
What for sure will not change no matter what,
Right.
in the first 5 years is the capital.
Right, to
Those-
capital equipment, but the overall, from
Yes.
the operational standpoint, may change.
Correct. The operations is what could change. The goal is that the EMS operations will become profitable and therefore be a net zero. And then the only item lingering is the fire operations cost year over year, which is what we've put a increase on. I'm sorry, put a cap on as far as a percentage increase that could occur. Keep in mind, I know I'm sending a lot to you guys as well. They can't come back and ask for an additional handout if they projected a shortfall, what ultimately amounted to a shortfall.
So these numbers are the next 5 years? Because they can't come back and ask for more than what's projected? I don't understand.
So these are when it comes to fire and EMS operations, those are projections, okay? And when it comes to fire operations in particular, no increase from year to year can go above 7%.
From what's here?
Yes and no. They're allowed a little bit of flexibility with what they can include in their operations. I don't believe, though, that at this point in time, if they came back, when they come to you in the fall, I mean, they have a very good idea of what they're projecting for this coming year. So these numbers are based on what they are projecting for 2026. So in theory, could the 2026 number, increase a little bit from what's projected? That's possible, but they've been putting these numbers in for the last 6 months, and they're going right into their budget season right now. And anything that they were to change in their projection will also impact themselves because they bear about 60 to 65% of the overall budget.
I think it's 68.
Yeah.
So there's an incentive to stick to the budget, a big incentive.
Right.
Correct,
Right.
yes.
And if they go over, again, like you had mentioned many times, which we never had before, they can't come back to us.
Correct,
The
yes.
town has to, the city of Fort Atkinson has to cover that overages, not the other communities.
Mhm, mhm.
That's a huge one. Okay.
Yep.
I guess my concern is that we seem to be locked in so long financially. And I know Chief Peterson talked a lot about stabilization, but I always thought the idea was able to get back in the CFD if that opportunity presented itself. I mean, we were the largest member of the Fire Commission, and I know there was a lot of talk that, once they get their ducks in a row, that, we would seriously consider coming back into the fold. And I think the contract, was very good. I think we're unique in that some of the other townships you represented don't really have a fire department and aren't the biggest constituents of what was an existing fire department. So I understand Chief Peterson. I remember he kept preaching and preaching, we need the stabilization and whatnot. But it seems to me that wasn't exactly what we had discussed in all the meetings we had. And I do agree with Mr. Scott's commentary at the beginning of this meeting to some degree.
I have a question too. If we've always used Fort, we need Fort for at least part of Oakland. If we decided to go back to the original area, we would give a 3-year notice to go back to reduce our area, and we would still be using Fort for those 3 years. Is that correct? Unless we wanted to pay double duty and.
The double duty language has been struck completely, so it's just a clean 3-year notice. So
But if we had a chance to go back to the Cambridge Commission, and they didn't want to wait 3 years for us, is what I'm saying. We would have to pay.
Correct.
Still pay Fort for 3 years.
Yes, in theory, it would probably be some kind of side agreement that you'd pay for it for the 3 years, however you decide you want to make that payment. And then Fort could technically.
For just that section that
Yes.
we would be going back to the original area covered by Fort Atkinson.
Or stated differently, the area that was originally covered by the commission that is now covered by Fort. Yes, you would be paying that proportionate share. Yes.
Okay. And, yeah, the map you have is not the map that, as Exhibit A. If you're looking at the purple section, they do not cover all of that up on by Lake Ripley.
I think it's just the way it printed out on our printer.
Well, how do we know? This is going to be attached to the contract. I'd rather have the map that we've been posting. This is what is posted in the town hall. The map I sent you a copy of.
Yes.
This is on our wall showing what is represented by Fort. And so this is the map that was drawn up by the Land Information Office that should be attached to our contract if we happen to go with this. You know what I mean?
Yes,
Not
but
this
when
map.
the map that is attached to this, when it was in the PDF version, I thought it just encompassed this very southern tip of Lake Ripley.
It should, but if you look at this, it doesn't.
I think it's on the screen it looks better, but right here I think we just need to work on the coloring
mean,
isn't
it
quite
might be a
right on
mis-
here.
Is this highway extended, is that where it is?
If we're going to not agree to sign a contract. I mean, this might be moot anyway, but look.
It's the highway
appears,
extended?
it appears on this map that you're saying that we need to attach, that this would be covered by Fort, when in fact, it's not.
I think it's just the coloring of the printout.
Well,
And we
then
could-
we should just use this. Wouldn't be, I'm not comfortable putting something in there that's gonna look like, this says Oakland Township Fire and EMS Coverage Area. And down here, it says Fort Atkinson EMS. I mean, it doesn't even say Fort Atkinson Fire. This is not a good map to attach to a contract, in my opinion.
Okay, well, all right, I'll make note of this. Ultimately, the legal description is what's going to govern.
Okay, who's going to understand where those areas are?
Well,
And plus, this page is the same page as this page.
that's because the EMS and
I
the
think
fire
it's just the
are the same
color.
service
You
area.
can see
So Chief put the EMS
the
service
color
area as the
is
same thing as the
just
fire service
slightly
area,
off is
to
the
just
problem.
reflect, it's the same,
our
same
printer.
area.
They
Not every
probably
town necessarily has that.
Okay.
should have used a different
I
color.
don't understand why we can't use this map that we've been advertising to people
Yeah, well,
in our town hall
we can.
instead of that map.
Well, what we can do, because I want to ensure that we have consistency amongst every single town contract, that we're all using the same maps generated from the same
Well-
software, based on the same Jefferson County people that generated them.
How can you, this says Oakland. This doesn't include other than.
I understand that, but every single town is utilizing a Jefferson County GIS map. And it was generated from the Land Information Office. So I think we, what's that?
So is this.
I understand this is going to be the most up-to-date mapping system that we can use, though, that I would trust. Now, we can condition the approval tonight because bottom line is, your service area right now with the city of Fort Atkinson under your current contract is the same service area that is intended by this agreement. So you can make your motion tonight to make a more clear depiction on Exhibit A to reflect the current service area that you have under your existing contract. And I can go back to Rebecca over at the city, along with Chief, and ask that they change the coloring or the shading to better reflect the boundary line.
Yeah, just to be clear, nothing's changing. The maps are staying exactly the same. You want to clarify the coloring because the printout isn't quite correct.
Yeah.
Yes. That's, I think if you look
But-
at the legend, the Fort Atkinson EMS and the Ryan Brothers are just very close in color. And it's unfortunate that when it printed, it looks like it's the same color. So we just need to work to try to get it more distinguishable for this. This is just the fort. It's really meant to be, here's what the Oakland Fort contract looks like. It's really not intended to show the entire town of Oakland, because that's not what they're really concerned with this particular contract. So I think that's really what the issue is.
I would object to having a map other than what Oakland is being represented by.
Laura, if I may come up and take a look at the maps, because I was the one that originally created the mapping.
Sure.
And the division between the three townships, between the three divisions.
Well, this is from the Land Information Office.
Yeah, the maps that I provided is what they went off of. There was a portion, which is, I believe it's Highland Lane, that comes up, that was when Chief Peterson and I decided how we were gonna split this up.
Yep.
Is that, yes, that is gonna be Fort Atkinson protection based on the transportation time, travel times to this location. It was a quicker time frame than for us to come down and come back up and around to get up to that location.
Right.
So that map there is reflecting.
But look at this map.
On your computer, it's better.
How can you
than
tell?
Right here.
See, you could see on my computer
Yeah,
that the
so
color
it's the-
is
it's the color
different.
printing. So
It's
here's
the
what's
color
on
printing.
Jefferson County GIS
Because
right
I could
now.
have sworn when I looked at
And
it.
depending on how the printer prints
Yeah,
it,
on the-
it does look like, because
It's-
this shade
Oh, there,
here.
okay. I was like, I swear
Yeah,
I saw
So
that.
this is the map that you have right here. It's just shaded different colors. to
yeah.
give a
You
better
can
look.
see it on the screen that it's different
Okay,
colors.
but
It just,
my
our
point
printer.
is, we want to cross all our Ts if we're, so we don't get into the same, what if none of us are
Does this
here
look right to you?
and there's a problem with the
It's
district?
because of the two colors.
Yeah,
All right, that's what I saw last
So this is
night.
exactly what we
Okay.
have here. It's a little bit better variation here because of how this is more of a blue-gray, where this is a purple.
right.
So,
And the legend says Fort Atkinson EMS, doesn't even mention fire.
originally, it was gonna be a divide that went straight across there, but again, because of the travel time, it was
Right.
kind of splitting hairs, so we just substituted this to Fort Atkinson Fire.
So it is correct then, as shown, right, Chief Russ? So we're all good with as far as the district with the map except for the shading coloring, that's not really printing out well.
The
But-
example that's on Jefferson County GIS is the correct.
Okay,
How does that show where the Fort Atkinson fire is? Because the legend says Fort Atkinson EMS.
Because on the county GIS, you can only.
But I'm
pull out-
talking about what's going to be attached to our contract.
The contract, though, identifies Exhibit A. At the title of it is the Fort Atkinson Fire Department hyphen Oakland Township Fire and EMS Coverage Map. And the agreement itself recognizes that Exhibit A depicts the service area for fire and EMS services.
But why doesn't the legend reflect that?
That's, Chief Russ, is that how the GIS just states it? Can you tell on your map if it says fire and EMS, or does it just say E EMS?
On this one, so in the GIS, there's two options for you to choose. One is EMS protection and one is fire protection.
Okay.
So
Okay,
it
you,
gives
I'm
two
sorry.
different options, and when you pick into the public safety, and you go into the drop down, take away the EMS district, which the EMS district says Fort Atkinson EMS. And then if you bring up the fire department, it says Fort Atkinson FD. And it's the same, same mapping.
Okay.
Well, you have 2 pages, one for fire and one EMS for the descriptions.
Mhm.
So why don't you do that for the maps? And
I'm comfortable with how it's written. If the town board would like to see the exact same map a second time in the document,
Well,
that can be done too.
I'd like to see this map.
I think the city's going to want to have the map that we have here.
Pardon me? So you won't use what we've been advertising in the town hall as the coverage area?
I'm going to go with the most up-to-date info that I can be 100% certain is what the existing fire and EMS service area is, as confirmed by the fire chief and for Lake Mills, just identified as well on his
Well,
phone.
the fire chief for Fort isn't here.
I
And that's what we're
understand that,
talking about.
but there's literally no dispute as to the service area. The service area is the same today as it will be on January 1, 2026, as it will be in December of this year.
So you recommend that we're okay?
We're okay, we just need to ensure that when we print it out, the colors are more distinguishable than we have at this time.
Okay.
Would you like that the GIS, if we can get the GIS mapping to change its color, would you like to see that? Would the town board prefer that?
I would say if you can improve the process in the mapping area, I think that's what we're hearing. I think that's good.
Okay.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the fire EMS contract for Fort Atkinson Fire Department.
Well,
I just made a motion.
Okay,
Would you like to amend your motion
To include the,
the clarification on the coloring to ensure the
Sure.
service area is accurately depicted?
sure.
okay, I will second that motion. Any further comments?
I have more questions.
Okay,
So in section 6, it says that we need a fire inspection and prevention ordinance, including enforcement, which we don't have.
The city was going to provide us a ordinance that we'll ultimately adopt. What page did you say you're on?
it's on page 8.
Section 6,
Page 8.
Page 8. Are you sure? Page 8?
That's what ours is.
uh,
Oh, that's section 6 starts on.
oh wait, maybe I have the wrong section. Let's see, section 6.
Section 8, page 10, is that what you're looking for?
Yes,
Maybe
that's what I had.
I wrote the wrong number down, section 8.
Are we certain that we don't have one of those in effect already? Because I would expect that to have been the case for all the time that you would have had fire EMS service in the town, whether it be the commission, whether Lake Mills.
I looked on our ordinances, I don't see anything.
Okay.
But our ordinances are hard to search for, but I didn't see anything.
There's
you
got,
aware, Susan?
I think there's,
Pardon? Are you aware of a fire prevention code or enforcement ordinance?
I can speak to it. There isn't. We've asked for it in the past, and
Right.
Capser was the chairman, and said no.
okay, well.
Okay, well,
So, but there is codified requirements of the fire department as far as inspections.
Yeah.
To qualify for the 2% money. So there is that, but there is nothing in the ordinances that I'm aware of.
okay.
We will need to ultimately adopt one. It's a simple process. Frankly, all the standards are governed by state statute and the NFPA anyway. So all that will be necessary at that point is to have a public hearing, and then after that you can adopt a fire protection code which will basically be adopting all state statutes.
Okay.
Yeah, it says the town shall adopt and maintain, right?
Okay.
That's what it says we'll do.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay, so
And then,
Tim is saying that that's something that is pretty standard that we should be having anyway. So it's something we can add. It makes sense.
Some of your rental properties on Ripley Road, for example, I mean, somebody's gotta get their head inside those doors and take a look at some point.
Okay.
and then on section 9, do we need to add an ordinance regarding driveway? Any damage for an emergency vehicle? We have a driveway ordinance, but I didn't see anything in that ordinance.
Yes. I had asked the city to give us a copy of what they'd like us to ultimately adopt. They haven't sent that over yet, but I'm expecting that they will in short order. And then we'll review it and can adopt it at that point in time.
So are we really ready to vote on this ordinance right now, or this contract right now?
I'm comfortable with, yes, absolutely how it's written.
Mhm. So next month, we can bring back 2 ordinances.
Yeah, assuming the city, provides them to us. Because frankly, I'm not going to spend more town money than what is necessary. The city can provide us a copy of those 2 ordinances. I am comfortable that they're going to contain reasonable language. And if there's a concern, I'll raise it with all of you, but I expect that it's going to be the basics, not create obstructions in roadways, not create obstructions near your driveways that would prevent access, not obstruct other people's properties, those
Any
kinds of things.
damage to emergency vehicles during a response is the responsibility of the property owner if there's damage to.
In the event an emergency vehicle is damaged as a result of a driveway, frankly, I think that's going to end up being a dispute between the city and that property owner.
Okay.
And I think that'll come down to who was operating the vehicle, how they were operating it, what was the state of the driveway, if the driveway was in compliance with the ordinance. I don't see a city have an opportunity to legally recover in that particular instance. I think that will probably be their own
Okay.
problem.
Okay.
So going back to the being able to go back to our original coverage area for Fort, we would give a 3-year notice saying we're ready to go back to the Cambridge Commission.
Or just in general, whomever, yeah.
And then we would have 3 years left with Fort before we can do that. Or we could possibly, are you saying we could possibly work out a side agreement or something like that?
I think if you,
Since it's just cutting the area?
I can't imagine someone sitting in Fort's shoes if you came to them and said, we're ready to terminate tomorrow and here's a check for 3 years worth of payments, and now you don't have to provide any more services. I suspect they're likely to take it. And that would then, we would sign an agreement at that point in time that just terminates the contract outright because you have made your payment.
I'd just like to see something a little onerous than 3 years. That's my, I don't think I'm okay with the contract other than that. It's a long time.
Is
And
there any-
we wouldn't pay it out in advance because that would not be smart.
What?
We'd pay it over, that makes no sense at all from a net present value standpoint.
Keep in mind that the original proposal, though, that the city was took a lot of effort to get them to remove the language that said you'll pay a 3-year termination fee. To me, when I looked at what were the two options, I was more okay with giving a 3-year notice than paying a 3-year termination fee, because at that point in time, you'd be doubling up. You'd have to get your service from somewhere, and I wouldn't want the town paying twice as much for one service provider. So I felt
I
like,
agree with you.
yeah, I
I
thought
just
this
was, is there some middle language or something softer that's there? I don't know. It's probably, I don't know how likely of a situation it is, but
tell you there was quite some tense discussions to get it to where it was with a 3-year notice.
Wasn't some of the biggest reasons, Michael, that they wanted the little bit length of time there so they could estimate our payments out and they could budget this correctly, so we had an idea exactly where we're going to be, which we've never had before?
Yes, the largest concern the city had was how can we plan to provide the capital equipment needed to give you a sufficient service, satisfactory service, if there's the possibility of someone jumping ship and harming the rest of the remaining members here, or the city itself losing expected revenue when it's about to purchase equipment. Chief kept going back to the common point that a fire truck these days is anywhere from $1 million to 1.2, and he said he cannot plan without some kind of predictability.
how are they doing it now?
How are they doing?
Covering us right now with their existing equipment.
What do you mean?
They're covering us right now on a short-term basis.
Mm-hmm. Through the end of the year, yeah.
For
Based on the same, the old contract with the old territory, based on the same provisions, pretty much, just adding.
Laura, you want me to call the question? I'll call the question.
Well,
I
we
was
already-
going to say, there is a motion on the table.
We do have a motion on the table, so any further discussion?
I just called the question.
What was the motion
I
again?
just called the question.
Can I have
Yeah,
the
you can
motion?
repeat the motion.
Okay,
The question means that they want to vote. He wants
Okay.
to vote.
all right. Okay, so we have a motion on the table to approve the Fort Atkinson contract with the provision of reprinting the map so that it's more distinguishable between the different service areas. So, all in favor, say aye.
Aye?
Aye. Okay, nays?
Nay,
Nay. I would
David?
like to see it.
ayes have it.
You said aye? Okay, great, okay. Motion carries. Thank you.
Nay.
Would you like a roll call vote? We don't need one, but
No, I don't need a roll call. I want to see a completed contract before I vote for anything. And then
We can't have discussion after we already voted. We have to move on.
We have to move on. Okay, let's move on. We are going to move on to discussion and possible action to extend Lake Mills Fire and EMS contract. So you have a copy of the contract that we voted and approved last November. So it is just a discussion and action to renew it. We needed to give Lake Mills 270-day notice if we did not want to continue our service with them. And that'll be up at the end of September, very beginning of October. And I thought with the 4th that we should be doing the Lake Mills now instead of waiting for another month, so that they can plan accordingly. They are planning on having more discussions and negotiations with Ryan Brothers, and having us in definitely helps with those negotiations. and they have a better idea of what they're planning for, and they're working on their budget right now. And so we should have that by October. In addition, they are working on our, I have it here. Chief Rush, do you want to come up and explain the equalization credit? So we are going to be receiving, probably within the month, an equalization credit through Ryan Brothers. So that'll be a payback for us to have with that. And Ryan Brothers is based on the annual fiscal year of July 1st through June 30th. So they do not have a new budget for us until that time. So for the next 6 months, we'll be paying what we have, and then it should vary based on the. What was that? I have to look it up. I apologize. I didn't write it down. The ambulance.
Ambulance inflation rate.
Yes. And
So our
that,
contract isn't all that different from Fort Atkinson when you break it down piece by piece and you start looking at it. The contracts that you have in front of you,
We're talking the
the EMS and
current
fire.
contract.
Yes.
We have no idea what the new contract's going to be.
No,
We didn't receive any paperwork from you.
we would not be getting a new contract. We would just be renewing the contract that's existing. We would not be receiving any new contract. The contract we have is the contract that will stay.
The contracts that you guys went into last year were auto-renewing for 3 years. With the
Unless we give
option-
you a
the
270 days.
270-day option out.
So there is nothing new. So the contract that you've had for the past 10 months is the contract that will stay.
So these contracts have been, in a sense, the Ryan Brothers was basically a copy over of the Lake Mills EMS, and the fire contract has been a long-standing in place with all of its existing service areas for the past many, many years. There really has been no change. A lot of them have been basically like a 10-year and then a review. The town of Lake Mills recently went through this just last year, and as Laura was mentioning, the equalization credit, there is a statement in the EMS contract. I could read it per word, but basically what it is I always describe it as an insurance policy. You pay your premium, and then when you use your insurance, you pay your deductible. If you use enough deductible, it offsets, in this instance, it offsets the cost of what was paid in per capita, which that is what the equalization cost credit comes back to. So it's basically, so everybody in the service contract area is paying the same rate. So if Lake Mills is a higher user and more of it comes back, they share that amongst everybody. So that way it offsets the total cost for everyone. Ryan Brothers at the end of the day walks away with their money that they're receiving from the contracted fees and then the amount, but it's based on what they actually used and is given as a credit back. So that's the equalization credit.
So in addition to receiving that, in a month or so, they're working on that. You will be working on your fire budget for this coming year, and then we will be able to, according to the Lake Mills attorney, there will be an opportunity at a meeting to comment on your budget, and then the city council will vote on that budget, just like Forts would vote on theirs. And according to the attorney, we could object to any large capital costs. However, there are no big expenditures expected. You've already recently bought your ladder truck, and so no large expenditures are expected, so we wouldn't all of a sudden be having a big surprise with a new payment.
Unless there be a catastrophic failure of something where there could be the need to have to go out and purchase something, but right now that's obviously not forecasted.
So just like with Lake Mills, they will have their final budget to us, and, but I wanted, we have to look at the big picture. If we're getting service from Fort Atkinson, we need service from Lake Mills, we should just, see where we're going so our community understands what we're doing for the next 3 years. With Lake Mills, we still have in the contract an ability to exit with a 180-day notice at any time.
So anytime during the next 3 years, we can give you a 180-day notice to get out,
According to the contracts.
which is 6 months.
On the 180 days, yes.
Well, you're doing a great job for us. I appreciate all your help. You guys definitely helped us a lot in our hard times.
Yes, I
It's an
think,
extension of the current contract that we've already agreed to? Is that
Right.
correct, Michael?
But the starting, it wouldn't start until June
So that's where
30th,
it's
2026.
that's a little bit interesting where it is the EMS contract, because of when Lake Mills EMS folded, it folded in the middle of the year. So the service contract with Ryan Brothers started July 1st of 2023. That was for a 3-year contract and ends June 30th, 2026. Early September, we are going to be going into meetings with Ryan Brothers to discuss and work on the next 3-year potential, 4-year, 5-year, whatever it might be, contract with them to continue our service.
Well, I thought Ryan Brothers also had a fiscal year that follows that, or can they do a January 1, December 31st? That'd be one.
I believe that's something that we're going to be discussing
Okay.
because the city doesn't operate on a fiscal. So it might be something, I can't speak on behalf of the city leadership as to which direction they're going to want to go on that.
Okay. But
So-
it's not necessarily, does Ryan Brothers, are they on is that their fiscal year? Do you know?
I'm not 100% sure. I'd be thinking almost not. It's just a matter of when the service was coming to an end
I didn't
and
realize
starting.
that. Okay.
The fire contract is January 1
Yes, very clean.
to December
Yeah.
31. So there is 2 separate start end dates with these
So the
two
fire
contracts.
contract, was that also 270 notice?
I thought it was,
yes, I think
I
we,
thought
we've
it was
already-
270, not the 180.
We've already
I was
noticed
actually
in
just
that.
trying
We're
to
just talking about the EMS then, if
look
they're
through
two
it.
I
different
think
things.
I think they're both on the 270,
Yes.
180 arrangement.
we,
Yeah, but according to the chief, the
I
fire
thought that-
department is January 1 and the EMS is July 1st, so we would already be inside then. If we didn't give notice to cancel, we would
Oh,
already.
yeah.
I thought we
We're
ended,
already involved.
I thought
We're already
we-
on that contract.
I thought that we revised the contract to be July 1st for both so that there would be consistency. I thought we had established that.
We've got the contract. The present contract goes from January 1st, 2025 through June 30th, 2026.
I'm okay either way, I
Yeah.
was just trying to.
Yeah.
No,
Get the
no, I
clarity.
understand. No, I
It's
understand what
page-
you're saying.
Page 4, item F, term of contract. This contract shall be in full force effective from January 1st, 2025, which was the date that we started, through June 30th, 2026, so that way it did match up with this. The initial term. Thereafter, the contract will renew successive 3-year terms unless either party provides a 270. So once that rolls, then it's the 270. So right now, this contract is only in effect through June 30th,
Which lines up with Ryan Brothers.
which
Yes.
then lines up
expiration.
with Ryan
That's why we
Brothers.
did the way we did it.
Then it goes
Yes.
into the 3-year.
Just to be
auto
clean.
Yes.
So we have until September 30th to let you know if we want to renew or not.
Correct.
Well, you don't have to let them know. It automatically renews.
Right.
Yeah.
We have
You
to let 'em-
maintain your 6-month notice, termination notice, right, at all times.
So the purpose of this, is what we're trying to do is align the dates, is what's happening?
Ultimately, that's the
You
goal.
wanna align the dates.
When they go through their negotiation with Ryan Brothers, hopefully there's some
Yes.
cleaning up that can happen.
Yeah.
Yes.
And our goal here today is not that we have to give notice, if we could just, we don't have to notice them formally if we want to continue, but for the board to decide if we would give notice or not and how we would move forward with this portion of our town and how they would be serviced. So
So how long do we want to extend this contract?
We don't have to do anything.
We don't have to do anything.
Right now,
It would
there's
be
nothing we have to do
automatically
for the next 3
3
years. It's only a negative notice, at least that's what I'm.
Yes,
Yes.
yes, but as
It's only if we want out, we have to give it your 270 days, but we actually can get out at any time. in 6
Right.
months' notice.
Correct.
yes.
But it could also be viewed as a show of good faith to the city of Lake
Yes.
Mills that you are eager to continue that, because Chief Russ could always articulate that back to the common
Mhm.
council.
And-
And that has, in my view, could have some value. You're making a perfunctory motion, but
Mhm.
What
But
would
we're
the
also
motion-
needing to, as a board, make that decision for ourselves.
Right, what would that motion read like?
Well, can I
Well,
don't
let
wanna
him
get
answer- let
stuck
him answer
like
my
we did.
question.
simply a motion to renew the EMS and fire contracts with Lake Mills as set forth in those agreements.
Okay.
Simple as that.
Okay.
But it does it without our action.
Correct.
So I just want to make sure the 180 days will apply. I mean, when we don't have a contract to look at,
We have a contract. We have a contract.
but this is not, this ends June 30th, 2026. Automatically renews.
Automatically
so-
renewable.
For 3
So
years.
you are for sure that nothing, this is going to be word for word the same as the
We're
next
not-
3 years?
We're not, yes. This is the contract that will stay in place.
Unless-
We won't be replacing
Word
it.
for word?
Unless the parties agree to a separate document and both sign, that will be the governing document.
This agreement has been around for years and is going to probably more than likely be the one that's gonna stand unless there's some legally binding thing that would need us to change.
Okay. That's,
Obviously with us going
I'm a
into,
paper person, so I like to look
Yeah.
at what,
and so as it, as it reads in there, this contract was good through June 30th of 2026. Thereafter, the contract will renew for a success of 3 years. Either party provides a 270-day prior written notice of this intent not to renew the contract for a successive 3-year term. So that's your 270 right now. That's the October, because that goes to the June 30th, 2026. Either party may terminate this contract at any time upon 180 days prior written notice to the other party. So yes, that's the 6 months.
We're good.
What do you want to do?
Move on.
Okay, so
I don't think we need to do anything, is my point.
do we need to make a motion?
It's entirely up to the board.
We have no intention of getting out of the contract. We're just
No.
gonna let it go. We don't have to do anything.
so it will automatic, yeah, we don't
Automatically
really
renews.
have to
We won't
vote
do
on
anything by end of
tonight.
September. The contract's good.
Okay.
And the part for us, I think, as the attorney was moving, is that we are going into negotiations with Ryan Brothers, having some sort of idea or theory of direction, going back to Chief Peterson's stability comments, is the idea of, are we negotiating with Ryan Brothers for the town of Oakland to remain in, or are we not?
Exactly. So
Because-
that's why I was bringing it forward, for us to have a discussion and then signal to Lake Mills and Ryan Brothers that we are indeed continuing with the contract.
How would you like to signal?
We
So
don't
I
have any
think we
other
should make
option
a
at
mo-
this point in time, I don't think.
Just so you know, though, that we've always had the intent to go back to the Cambridge Commission. I know you understand that.
And that's why
That's
the
what-
termination is in there, yes, sir.
Anybody ever
Okay.
say that?
What's that?
That's your
Never heard
opinion.
anybody ever say that.
That's because you
Right.
weren't here.
Thank you.
One.
Not-
That's
But
your
I-
opinion.
Not in the
Don't
last
speak
2
for
years
me.
before you got
Okay,
there.
I have always had
Thank
the
you.
intent to go
Thank
back
you.
to the and from what.
So what do
Tom
we
said.
doing?
I'd say we make a motion to allow, well, I will make a motion to allow the Lake Mills Fire and EMS contracts to roll over until, for a new 3-year term starting in June or July 1st.
You're just making a motion to waive our right to cancel a 270-day cancel is what you're making, right?
Well, for now, we could always revisit it.
You could always have special village, or special town board meeting, or the next town board meeting if the 270 hasn't lapsed, and
Right.
change course.
Yeah,
Or
like
you
I
can
said,
give
I'm
a
fine
notice
with
to
anything.
terminate as
We
well.
can get notice
I'm
to
fine with whatever we decide to
terminate
do.
in 180 days. That's always on the table. That's
Yeah.
not something, if we make a motion today, that we can't do at a later date.
Yeah, I'm fine with whatever we do.
Okay.
Did
so
you make the motion?
I'm making the motion.
I'll second.
All right, just so we're clear. Is the motion to renew the existing fire and EMS contracts with Lake Mills consistent with the language already set forth in those two documents? Is that a fair characterization?
Yes.
Okay. Chief, is that helpful?
Mhm.
Okay. And there was a second to that? Is that okay with the
I
second?
did, yes.
There is a motion and second.
Okay, so all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. We're done.
Thank you for your help.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Is that 3-2? The vote was 3-2. No, for Lake Mills. 5-5.
Okay. We will move on to the Enbridge update. So I do have some information for that. I spoke with Caroline Rice at the DNR, and I've been keeping up with the Birds on the Web. And so I wanted to convey that the oil extraction from the riser pipes near the spill location is still ongoing on a weekly basis. And since April, the total amount of oil extracted is 376 gallons. Between July 8th and 15th, groundwater samples were collected in the 4 existing and also the newly installed monitoring wells and on-site potable wells. And free product was observed in the monitoring well closest to the spill and near the southeast corner of the building. And Ms. Rice from the DNR did state that it wasn't unexpected based on the most recent soil extraction, excavation that they did in that area. And that well was not sampled, but they really could sample it even with free product in it. So I requested that this be sampled during their next sampling round. For the remaining wells that were sampled, and all the rest were, there were no detection of VOCs except for low levels of chloroform in 2 wells. And chloroform is not a component typically found in crude oil. Therefore, its source is unknown and will need further investigation. So I did ask about that. I noticed that in the report that they had, it could be left over from some past activity on the site long ago. But I think more testing and investigations would help with that. Low levels of a few PAHs, so that's the polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons that are found. Some of them are found in the crude oil. Those were tested as well, the VOCs, and they did have a few of those below the preventative action limits, and that's a very low level, but none of them were in the most downstream wells. And so that's not necessarily the best news, but they weren't in the downstream, one was in the upstream. So I think they just need to continue. So, you know, Ms. Rice has stated that a second round of groundwater sampling in this fall, probably in late September, early October, will provide more information. If there's a trend, we need more, information. And so at this time, she believes that the results aren't alarming and no additional wells will be added. That said, though, she did say that if in the future their data indicates something else is going on, they will need to modify their site investigation plan, add more monitor wells, or do other type of work. They will still be doing their soil vapor extraction. That has not started yet. It's my understanding that that should start in the fall. So that is where it stands there. They also did hydraulic conductivity slug tests, but they have not seen the results of that yet. It will probably be included in a site investigation report that will include all of the data that they've collected since the beginning of the spill. And it's unclear to me when that will be, probably within the next several months, that they will put together that big report. Hydraulic conductivity is a measure of the permeability, how quickly groundwater moves through the soil. So they did all of those testing, and that also will give a lot of data of what they may expect to see in movement. So that is the information that they had for this, we have for this month, probably.
The well testing goes, what's the distance on that again?
It's just within the property. This is the monitoring well, so those are only on site and they go down into the groundwater.
No, the resident.
Oh, that goes a half a mile.
Oh,
And so
only
they
a
will be
half a
doing
mile.
those on a quarterly basis. The groundwater monitoring wells will be, they'll be included at the same time moving forward with the potable wells in the area as well as the stream testing. But the monitoring wells on site just hadn't been installed yet, so they'll get that kind of, I would hope to, you would get that all at roughly the same time. And then, then you get more information when you have that data collected at one time. But those all came back clean. The stream had come back clean last time. And when was that, Jimmy? Do you remember when Leanna went out there? It was June, I believe.
Oh, well, I think we're still doing it monthly, so
You
I don't know
still-
if we got the results back yet.
You're doing it monthly?
I believe we are.
Okay,
I'll have to
I
ask.
believe that in their site investigation plan, they have to do quarterly sampling of all of it. So the monitoring wells,
Right.
the potable wells, and the stream. And that hasn't changed, but it's a fluid situation out there, so as they monitor, that could change at any point. What they need to do, what they need to change based on what's observed out there. So hopefully, we won't see too much migration.
I'll have to confirm that with Leanna.
Yeah,
It might be
confirm.
quarterly, but I know we,
Yeah. So, yeah, there's some deeper wells near the bedrock, and then there's more shallow wells that go over the groundwater table. I asked for those groundwater elevations, and because that wasn't provided, and she believes that they just hadn't been provided because they hadn't surveyed those wells in to come up with elevations. But she said they did measure the distance, so at some point they'll be able to calculate the elevations. And I will look for those. Any other questions on that? So I'll keep you posted. Okay, so hearing no more, we'll move on to correspondence. Susan?
There is none, there is no correspondence for this meeting.
Okay, announcements?
I have two. The Wisconsin Towns Association is having a convention in October. Oops. Supervisor Drews has expressed interest in going. I will register him if anybody else is interested in going. It's October 12th through 14th in the Wisconsin Dells. And then we are going to be having a budget workshop on Tuesday, October 14th at 6 o'clock.
If David's going to the convention, maybe other people,
He'll have to hurry up and come back on the 14th. I think
Okay.
that the convention is done by noon on the 14th.
okay.
So October 14th at 6?
6.
Okay.
The registration deadline is the 27th of September, so you have plenty of time, but I just wanted to let people know.
Okay, thank you. Does everyone have a copy of that?
Everybody should have
Yeah,
gotten the Wisconsin Towns Association magazine, and this is from the Towns Association magazine.
All right. All right, so we'll move on then to approval of disbursements.
I just want to make one comment about the disbursements. It is a rather large number, and that is because we received a check from the Department of Transportation for $460,753.76, and that is what we paid Badger Bank to reduce our line of credit. So that's why the amount is so big for the disbursements this month.
Okay.
That's good. Good news. I'll make a motion that we approve the disbursements beginning with electronic funds transferred to the Wisconsin Department of Revenue through and including check number 1507 to Wolf Paving in the aggregate amount of $689,030.01.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor of approving the disbursements, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. All right. Our next meeting is September 16th, and our future board agenda items include the budget. That's one of the biggest ones coming up. Susan, there was a couple other things you wanted to, did you want to?
Oh, we'll be looking at a financial policy book. And then Michael alluded to codifying ordinances, and Laura Lowry and I have been working on getting such a document together. We have a ways to go, but it will be a start.
Okay. We will also talk about the ordinance for the parking and revise that, and the other two ordinances per the Ford contract. We'll work on those as well. So
I would like to still push for the short-term rental ordinance.
Susan still had some questions about the responsibilities of the clerk, and also you and Laura are working on that. When you
We have been working on some of our other ordinances because for the budget, we want to put together a fee schedule, and the fee schedule has to refer back to the ordinances. So we are trying to get those references in line so that if fees need to be raised at a later date or changed, they can just be done in the fee schedule and not go back to the ordinances. So we are working on that. I don't know when we'll put the short-term rental into that mix, but right now that's what we're working on, is to get the ordinances and the fee schedules to reference each other and be up to date. There's 35 ordinances that have a fee in them, and so some of those fees are out of date. So we're trying to get that. Up to date.
Okay.
Earlier this year, I did talk about having a fee schedule, and that was the reason the board said it needed more work, and so that's what we're working on, is getting the fee schedule and the ordinances to work together.
Okay, so after you finish that's your top priority, so we can do by the budget, and then you move on to
The short-term rental.
to make sure that you have all the information you need and understand the responsibilities that go along with such an ordinance.
And because there is a fee attached to the short-term rental, we want to make sure that all of the other ordinances are up to date and in the fee schedule, and then we can just add any fees for the short-term rental into that fee schedule.
Okay, all right, that sounds good. Thank you, Susan. So I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Okay. All in favor of adjournment, say aye. 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 Thank you.